Hello again and welcome to the Franchise Everything podcast, where we talk about everything and anything franchising. And today, once again, I'm at the Hire A Hubby headquarters in Kingsgrove, New South Wales. And I'm with Neil Gibbins, who is the franchise owner of Gladesville, aren't you, Neil?
That's right.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us today, mate.
You're welcome.
Excellent, mate. Excellent. So you're a veteran. You're a bit of a veteran in Hire A Hubby, aren't you? How long have you been in Hire A Hubby for?
Over 20 years now.
Yeah. So, and you're a multi-person franchise owner. Is that correct? Can you describe the way that those models works? We've had a man in a van franchise owner we've spoken to earlier today, and you're the multi-person franchise owner. Can you just talk me through that?
Yeah, the next level up from man in a van is when you've got staff full-time on your books.
Yep.
And have a turnover over a certain number. So you then fit into the next category where you have those other people working with you.
So, and you talked to me in our little brief we had before this. You've got access to a significant team that you obviously don't have on full time and everything. But can you talk to me about the structure and everything, the way you run your business and operate with your customers?
Yeah, look, I've only got one full time staff member who is like a mini me. Yep. And somebody who can directly look after customers themselves and do quotes for me, so that we've got multiple streams going on at any one time. And the benefit of doing that is that I can go away on holidays and the business doesn't stop. And I do a lot. I do get away a lot. But underneath that, we've got admin team separately, and also finance team and marketing and some social media team as well. So those people work on a contract basis for me.
Yep.
But it's just tasks that I don't have to do within the business. I'd rather leave it up to the experts who do that, the specialists.
So, sorry, keep going. I think I was going to cut you off then.
Yeah, but in terms of doing bigger work, we've got a paint team, for example, that uses, we use all the time, and as do other Hire A Hubbies as well. So this one paint team works across a number of different people.
That can work very well, obviously.
Yeah. It's actually one of the really good things about being part of the network, because we're not in competition to each other. We do share knowledge and resources around the network, particularly when, over on the sort of the north side where I am, 3 or 4 of the other guys who are the hubbies around me, we use a lot of the same specialist subcontractors.
You've got your own territories.
Yeah. So we're all next to each other, but we're not in competition to each other. So there's a great camaraderie and helping of each other through that.
Excellent. So what type of jobs do you do? So what are the main sorts of work? I know you do quite a diverse range of things.
Look, I do have a diverse range of work that we do, and I do that on purpose. From a business perspective, it's good to have a number of different types of income streams. So about 50% of our work is in a domestic market, working on homes for customers. We're very much a repeat and referral type job, like business, so that once people find you, or are recommended by a friend, or they come in through the call centre for the first time, they realise that you're much more than just a handyman. I think part of the problem of being a handyman is people think you just do light globes of little old ladies and little bits and pieces.
Fixing grout, fixing silicone and stuff like that.
Pull a few weeds, that sort of stuff. But we're much better and much bigger than that. And once people realise that you can and have access to a lot of knowledge and actually quite good at it yourself, they go, oh, well, while you're here, can you look at this and this and that? And
just mushrooms from there.
Mushrooms from there. So, you turn those small jobs into a big, customer that's a customer for life, basically. Yeah. And certainly that's once you're in that world with the domestic customers, they tell all their friends, never underestimate the power of the mothers group, that sort of thing, or the social media pages. And they then people start coming to you just through schools or sporting groups or community groups, that sort of thing.
So to give people a bit of an idea, and also myself a bit of an idea, can you talk me through, say, the types of jobs you've been working on for the last month or so? So what type of things, just give them an idea of some diversity of things you do.
Right at the moment, right now, my off-sider, he is working at a customer's home. Now, there's a lot of people who don't know how to do anything in homes these days. They're not practical people for whatever reason.
Guilty as charged, totally guilty as charged.
Well, that's right. Anybody who sort of grew up in the 80s, they ended up going into call centre jobs and not going into trades. And we're seeing that effect now, where there are less and less people around who know how to do things, but more and more people who need things done. Every house needs to have maintenance done on it, or every building, not just a house, but every building. So there is a huge growth of need out there, and less people who know how to do it well.
Yep.
You know, there's people out there that chuck their tools in the back of a ute, calls themselves a handyman. It doesn't really mean that they know what they're doing, nor are they covered by the licensing and the insurances that we've got.
Yep.
So, you know, you might be taking a bit of a risk using them. But, you know, so the fellow that who works for me, I know right at the moment he's working at a fellow's house, and he's been doing everything from hanging doors inside, changing the handles on locks. He's fixing some windows. He's put a whole lot of shelving up in his shed, and it goes on and on. It's a laundry list of stuff, and we can handle the whole lot.
And you were saying you're also doing other big jobs like kitchens and bathrooms, depending on...
Yeah, we do. Yeah. And look, we've got specialist trades that support us with that. So things like plumbing and electrical, which need to be done by a specialist. Well, I've got a big plumber and a small plumber and a big sparky and a small sparky that work on an as-needs basis for me. So they'll come in and do their component, but overall I'm managing the whole job from start to finish.
And when you talked about that in the pre-brief that we did, that was really interesting to me, because I can see that that's an enormous value add that you're providing there. Because I can imagine, I've renovated before.
Yes.
And how challenging it was to try and manage everyone. Can you speak a little bit on the role that you have in your style of business in a Hire A Hubby, about how you get involved there and help people? Yeah.
Well, a lot of it is experience, but also I get referrals a lot with real estate agents. One of the jobs that we finished just last week was a preparation for sale. Now that job took about 2 months, and some of these bigger ones do. Prep for sale is all about removal of negatives, you know, so that when people walk into a home, everything looks spectacular, and they can visualise that this is going to be their house. When people have lived in a house for a long time, you know, there's things that we all look past. But when I see a house for the first time, I'm looking at it through the eyes of a prospective buyer, and I might look over your shoulder and see that crack in the wall behind you that it's been there forever, and
you don't notice it.
You don't notice it, but I did. And you know, when people are coming to buy a home, they don't want to have to deal with any of that, and it also creates a concern that there is some reason that might be cracking. Now, most of it's just cosmetic, and it just needs to be repaired and repainted, and it's fine. But also, you know, we are trying to take this one that we did, you know, the customers had lived there for over 30 years. It looked like it had been lived in for 30 years too.
And then some.
And then some. Now, they were lovely, but they needed some guidance on how to make it look like it should and be the best value it can.
Do you work with a real estate agent on that type of thing quite often?
Yeah. Well, for those ones, the referrals come through the real estate agents, and we've done probably 20 in the last few years like that. So he's quite happy to say, look, you just let Neil take care of it. He'll give you some guidance. So we know how it needs to be done. That
must be a great spot to be in when you've got trusted partners referring people to you like that.
Yeah. And certainly in our sort of business, because we are a repeat and referral, if you start to build up relationships like that within your own area, that's a constant source of work coming to you, and it's a walk-up start. You know, people, as you know, personal referral is the most valuable out of everything. So we really don't need to advertise or anything, because work just keeps on coming to us like that.
So how do you build those relationships with real estate officers or real estate agents? Is it one by one, like agent by agent, or office by office?
It's usually agent by agent. You know,
I imagine there's one champion, and then others start to pick up.
Yeah. And look, you know, it's the real estate agent world. The real estate world is pretty fluid, so people move between agencies. So, you know, this one guy that I do a lot of work with, he's been in 3 different agencies within our area over the last 15 years, and I've worked with him all the way. And, you know, it's a good working relationship, as is, there's a stylist there. So I do all the preparation. I give them the finished product. The stylist comes along, puts all the furniture in, makes it look fantastic, and then we hand it over to the agent who does what he does best and gets the best price for it.
Must be a satisfying end result. You must be doing the block every other week.
We do the block every week. All the time. Look, I'd say within our team, I mean, this is not just about swinging a hammer, and it's not just about the money. I actually do get a lot of job satisfaction out of doing this. And I say, and we've got a saying in the team, we change people's lives by making their homes more beautiful, valuable, practical, and safe. Mm-hmm. That's our reason for being.
Yep.
And when you think about it like that, and people understand that you're not just a tradie, you're not just swinging a hammer and you're never going to see him again. You're not Bob the brickie who's just going to build a brick wall. It's a transactional type of arrangement where how much can I make out of that and do a good job, move on, you'll never see them. I've got customers now that I've had for 20 years, some of the very first customers, and their daughters and their grandkids who now, work. They all live around the same area.
Yeah, I can imagine once you really start to build up this network.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's good. I specifically try and stay just around the Gladesville area as well, because it's, in Sydney it's quite challenging.
Travel. Well, we were travelling here today. We thought it was going to be 30 minutes. It took us 65 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if I can't recover that travel cost if I'm paying my staff and I pay them well, because I've got good guys and I pay them accordingly, I can't afford to have them sitting in traffic for an hour to go and do a small job at a distance and then an hour come back. We can't recover that cost. So it's much easier for me to just stick close around. However, I've got this whole network of other Hire A Hubbies around Sydney. So if there's one that was, a job down here in Kingsgrove, I'll just get in touch with my mate who looks after the area down here and ask him to go and do it. Particularly if it's a real estate job where there's no real relationship, it's just a matter of getting the work done.
Yep.
It's only ever backfired on me once.
And how did it backfire?
Well, I got a call from a agent asking if I would fix a fly screen at a rental in Manly. Now, I don't know where.
I know it's a fair way away from here.
Okay, so it's at least an hour. It's at least an hour from Gladesville to Manly.
Yep.
But I rang up my Hire A Hubby buddy who looks after Manly and said, mate, can you do this one for me? And he said, matter of fact, one of my guys is working in that building right now. So he said, I'll get him to do it straight away. So he did.
That sounds like gold.
And he got his admin girl to send me the bill. So I was sitting in my office. I got the bill for the job in about 20 minutes. It had been done and finished. So I billed it to my real estate agent, who got it like half an hour after he sent me the job. And he rings me up and said, what are you doing billing for the job before it's finished? I said, mate, it's done. He said, how did you do that? And I said, network.
So that was the backfire, was it?
Yeah, well, he thought that I was actually billing it.
I was thinking, you're telling a story. It's going to be a terrible punchline.
No, it's a great story, because that's where the value of the network.
Absolutely.
As I was saying, we're not in competition to each other, so we can we can share resources, we can share knowledge, and finding materials now is becoming a real challenge. There's only
still blockages for it, is it?
Oh, look, it's not so much the getting access, it's the variety.
Yeah.
There are now just one or two big suppliers, whereas in the past there were a lot of smaller suppliers that had a wider range of materials. Now, around Gladesville, there's quite a few older houses, and trying to find products that match those houses now is a bit of a challenge. But all of us are doing all of these types of jobs all of the time. So we can easily get in touch. We've got a few WhatsApp groups that we can just put anybody know where to get a black left-handed widget, and somebody will have done that job and put you in touch with a specialist supplier.
And that's the power of that network.
Power of the network. Better than Google.
Yeah.
Better than Google.
Yeah. More responsive.
And
Probably
specific.
A lot more responsive.
You get a very specific answer. Say, ring this guy, this is his number.
Yeah. Excellent. So I'm interested in, with your multi-person franchise owner business, the role that you personally play in it. So what you do on a day-to-day basis, what a week looks like for you. Because I know you've got a core team of one, and then you're engaging all these specialists all the time.
Yeah.
What is your day-to-day? What does it look like?
Well, look, I'm probably in the office about 2 days of the week, because it's important to keep on top of the paperwork. And I think this is a classic, failing of a lot of guys, that they get so far behind in contacting customers or doing their quotes or doing their invoices. You really actually have to make time and put it in your diary to get that done and stay on top of it, because it's all about communication and people. This is a people business at the end of the day. And if somebody's contacted you and, if you haven't rung them back, in a reasonable period of time, and people's attention spans are a lot shorter now than they ever were. If you don't drop everything and call them straight away, quite often they've moved on to somebody else if this is just the first time inquiry. I mean, your existing customers know that you will get back to them, but you do have to keep them informed of what's going on. Plus, there's a bit of planning that needs to go. You got to understand what the job is, when you're going to do it, what materials you need, do a quote for it, get the quote out the door to the client, follow the quote up, and then if they accept that, then go ahead and put it into your diary. So there's that.
So that's 2 days a week you're doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
there, roughly?
That's it. And I do share that with my offsider as well. So we both do that work. So basically, he's like working like a mini me, so that if I go away on holidays, he can continue doing the whole lot, and likewise I do it when he's away as well.
Yeah,
and it works quite well. So I'm actually on the tools as well. because I get a lot more satisfaction out of actually swinging the hammer and doing the job myself and standing back and taking pride in the work than getting somebody else to do it.
Yeah, you actually enjoy it.
And look, and there's a core group of customers too that I want to actually physically do the work for myself, and then others who don't even know that I exist. They just know that my staff have got a boss somewhere and they're happy to deal with them.
It gets done.
It gets done, yeah.
So how did you get into this? What's your background? I know you have a diverse background with nothing to do with handyman work.
Yeah, look, I was in banking, 27 years in banking. I was a head of operations for Citibank Corporate in Australia, in my sort of most recent role when I left there. And that was great. Back in the time that I was there, back at the end of the 80s, early 90s, it was a pretty exciting time to be in finance. And we used to travel around the world and, everything was business class and 5-star. And that was great then, but it's not so family friendly. No. So when it
took us a while to realise that.
Yes, yeah. Well, so when my eldest son, who's now 29, got married just the other week, but when he came on the scene, it was okay because my wife wasn't working, and we had 2 children, and they were about 2 years apart. So wherever I was in the world, I'd always hook a holiday onto the end of that. So they just travelled to where I was, and it was terrific. Now that all came to a screaming halt when the first one went to the primary school, and we couldn't do that anymore.
Just pull them out of primary school at any time.
No, and look, it was getting harder. He's getting a little bit older, so I had been very involved when I was at the bank in the preschool. I was the handyman at their preschool. And
you're in training.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because I found I really did get that job satisfaction out of doing that. Supposedly, it was just like once every 3 weeks on a Sunday morning, you just organise a roster of the parents to come along and mow the lawns and do a little bit of maintenance. It wasn't that. We were up there every weekend on a Sunday, and my boys were up there with me, and we were doing all sorts of maintenance around the preschool, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And I realised then that was something that I'm a country boy anyway, so I've always been able to fix stuff, and I thought that a lot of job satisfaction out of that. So when he went to primary school, and I missed I missed a special assembly that he had to make a speech at because I was the boss and I had to be in the city for a meeting.
Yep.
I thought, well,
you can't not be there.
I can't not be there. I don't control my own life. Whilst the money is very good and the conditions are good, it was getting harder too. Banking is not what it used to be. I thought, well, the only way this is going to change is if I do something about it, and I changed. So I actually quit. I walked away. And
when was that?
That was in 2000. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I don't regret it at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
was it a tough decision at the time? Did you find?
Well,
you were really ready?
It wasn't a tough decision for me. My dad had a heart attack when I told him because he said, "Mate, what are you doing? You've got a wife that doesn't work, 2 kids, a mortgage, and you've got a fantastic job. What are you doing?" I said, "Dad, I'll be fine. There is more to life than just money." And so I was scanning around on the internet one night, and I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I came across Hire A Hubby.
So you're an early adopter. You're scanning around the internet in 2000.
Yes.
You were an early adopter.
I was head of technology there for a while too. So I did a whole lot of different jobs while I was there,
Yeah.
But and managed the year 2000.
Oh, the Y2K.
The Y2K thing. I was at the office.
The thing that never happened.
Oh, well, that's only because we did 2 years of really hard work.
That's what all tech people tell me.
We spent millions to make nothing happen.
I was in the army at the time, and the stickers they were putting on everything, this is compliant. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I was at the office that night. New Year's Eve in the city. The only time I've ever been to the city on New Year's Eve. Sitting in the office, waiting for midnight.
Waiting for it to happen.
Waiting for it to happen. Nothing did. And we go, our job is here, is done. Yeah. So it was soon after that. So anyway, I was looking around and somehow I came across the Hire A Hubby thing. It was very early days for Hire A Hubby. It was only 4 or 5 years old at that stage.
Yeah.
And I had a questionnaire. Have you done these jobs? And I go, yeah, done that. Hung a door, I can do all that sort of stuff, renovated my own unit, renovated my own house. And then, have you got these tools? And I went, yep. Don't know what that one is. Yep, got all that.
Most of them.
So, so, and I go, okay, so it gave you this score, really, really high score. So if you want more information, please fill out this thing and send it in. So I did. And a couple of days later, I got an info pack back from Hire A Hubby, and I thought, this sounds interesting. So I went down and I met with the CEO, Brendan Green, who, I think I interviewed him. It wasn't the other way around. What's your plan?
As it should be.
What's your plans for the business? What's your business plan on this? And, what's your growth strategies and all that sort of stuff? And I like what I heard.
Good things to know. You've got to know those things if you...
Well, I think, it's
important.
Well, any buying into any franchise, you've got to understand, what the culture is and where it's going and what the opportunities were. Got to remember back in the day, this was 2003. Hire A Hubby was not then what it is now. Yeah. It really was just a home maintenance business.
Yep.
In fact, it was home maintenance on the side of our vans at the time. So it was just basically handyman stuff. It was pretty simple, easy stuff. I bought the franchise. There was a guy already in Gladesville, but what had happened is that he was a Navy guy, and that was at Gulf War time. So all of these guys who had retired from the Navy and he had bought the franchise, they got called back and were offered really good packages to go back into
and stuff.
To recrew the ships. So he went back in. I never actually met him. We negotiated on the phone, and Brendan organised it, and I ended up buying the Gladesville territory off him.
You're glad you did.
Getting started, yeah. And then 3 years later, I bought another one, the Ryde territory, which was where I lived.
Do you still have that now?
No, look, I had it until about 5 years ago, and I really only sold it because we were so busy already. I didn't need a second territory. So you
ended up being stretched across.
You get too stretched, and service is really, really important in this business. And when you build up a repeat role of clients and they're sending you work all the time, and the real estate agents and your strata managers and your other corporate clients, you really don't need as much coming from the call centre anymore. But with a call centre,
they can generate leads for you as well, don't they?
Well, the call centre does, the 1-800 number. If somebody sees an ad for us or they see one of our vans, and all our vans across Australia are all sign written with exactly the same number. So if somebody rings that number and they live in Gladesville, the call centre opportunity comes to me because I'm the Gladesville guy. And if it's from somewhere else, say my van, and somebody who lives in, somebody's driving past Gladesville, they see my van but they live in Hunters Hill, it goes to Greg, who's my neighbour next door.
On that postcode.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where all the work comes from. Yeah.
So looking at your shirt, you've got franchisee of the year across all over the place there.
Yeah.
So you clearly know what makes it work. What makes the business work so much for you that you're franchisee of the year 2005, 06, 08, 09, 2010, is that 2017 or 11?
Yeah.
11. National in 2008, 2012. MVF, what's MVF?
Most Valuable Franchisee.
Most Valuable Franchisee 2012, 2013, 14, 18. So you clearly know what you're doing and a great advocate for the system. What's the secret to success in the business in your view?
It's all about customers. It's about people, and, this is a people business. And, if you are honest and genuine with your customers and do a good job, turn up on time, do a good job, charge a fair price, have a bit of fun, have some personality, customers for life. It's that simple.
Excellent. What a way to finish. I don't think we can wrap anything up any better than that. What do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great, Neil. Thanks for joining us today, mate.
Appreciate it.
And that's another episode of the Franchise Everything podcast. I hope you enjoyed this. Please like, comment, subscribe, put in your questions. We'll answer those for you as well. And we'll catch you again on the next one soon.